Welcome back to another episode of In the Kitchen with Melissa. I'm your host, Melissa of Honeybee Wellness, and welcome to my kitchen. All right, it's fall. I'm so excited about fall. It's everything pumpkin, soups, all this really delicious like casserole type dishes. So today I'm going to make chicken pot pie with a little bit of my own twist. Now, there are no biscuits. There's no crust on this. However, you can, if you'd like, put this filling into a pie crust. Totally up to you. You can add some biscuits on top if you want. Totally up to you. Whatever your preference is. We are gluten-free in our home, so we try to avoid any kind of breads and any that have gluten in it. And a really great though, like gluten-free biscuit would be amazing on top of this, or any great gluten-free pie crust. So I'm just gonna dive right into the recipe. So I love me chicken pot pie. I loved Marie Callender's chicken pot pies growing up. So I'm just gonna go over quickly the ingredient list and then we'll dive right in to do my favorite part, the cooking. Okay, so we have about just over a pound of chopped or cubed cooked chicken. I think these are chicken thighs. And we have a cup and a half of chicken broth. Now you could use any kind of broth you want. It doesn't matter. I've chose chicken broth. Usually I try and use homemade broth, but we don't have any in stock in our freezers. So I just buy the highest quality store-bought brand I could find, which you can usually get it at any major grocery store. Try to avoid buying ones with like fillers in it. You want it to be like water, chicken bones, chicken or beef, whatever kind of broth, and just vegetables and maybe some salt and some seasoning. Vinegar is always great to have in broth. So, and then salt and pepper, of course. Bacon. This is the twist. This is the twist. I've decided last minute to add bacon in there. This is about five thick slices of bacon, just chopped. It's raw, so we're gonna cook it. And then, about half or so of a medium white onion chopped. And then we have some half and half, about 2/3 cup half and half that we're gonna mix into the broth, make it creamy. We're gonna thicken it with some arrowroot powder. So this is a great alternative to wheat flour. And also we have peas and carrots, which are essential. Now you don't have to have peas and carrots. You can put broccoli, cauliflower. I put sweet potatoes in here before, anything you want. So this is a bag of, it's half a cup, or excuse me, 2.5 cups of peas and carrots. So I usually recommend about a cup of each, but you could throw in a little bit more if you want. So that's what we're gonna do. I have the oven behind me preheating at 425. I turned it on right before I started filming, so that way I know it will be ready. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the burner and I'm gonna put it on about medium heat, okay? And I'm gonna throw the bacon in and we're gonna let that cook. Now, depending on, get that little guy in there. Depending on your stovetop, I think I just said I'm gonna turn the oven on. I meant the stovetop, duh. Whatever, just kind of play around with it. Medium heat, medium high heat. We're just gonna let this cook for about 5 minutes. You can preheat the pan, but you don't have to. So I had the idea to add bacon to it because it adds a little bit more protein, a little more fat to it. This is not totally low carb, but you know, the peas and carrots are a little bit higher carb. And I know it's not 100% paleo because peas are technically legumes, but I like peas and I like having them in my chicken pot pie. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in and have them. So I'm just letting the cooking the bacon cook. And the great thing about this recipe is we're gonna start it on the stovetop in this cast iron, in this large cast iron. And so you're gonna wanna choose a piece of equipment that you could put in the oven to make it super easy. So you're only gonna use this pot, okay? Yes, who loves a simple and easy recipe? I do. And it's gonna be easy cleanup. However, if you don't have a saucepan or you're using a stock pot that can't go in the oven, don't sweat it. Don't even worry about it. It's totally okay. All you do is simply transfer it to an oven safe casserole dish, like a rectangular Pyrex. Whatever you have is great. Okay, so don't think you have to do this. I just really enjoy cooking with cast iron skillet, mostly because they're so versatile. So anyways, but you could do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Both methods work really, really well, and it's going to turn out great no matter what. So we're just letting it cook. And like I said, we don't need to let it cook all the way because we are eventually going to be putting it in the oven. So then it will continue cooking while it's in the oven. And depending on how you like your bacon, like we like ours a little undercooked, like cooked enough to where it's safe to eat, but maybe not totally well done, not crispy or anything. So, and it's interesting, my grandfather, I think my mom told me this a long time ago, my Grandpa Jack loved almost raw bacon, and my parents just think it's so weird, but anyway, I love it. It's really good. So, and one thing I love about cooking with bacon is you usually don't need to use any additional cooking fat because the bacon, it already cooks. Like the fat comes out of it. So I'm just gonna grab a hot pad right here. If you see the bacon, it's cooking, there's fat coming out of it, so we're not gonna need any additional cooking fat with that. So, and you can also use your extra bacon grease and just store it in the fridge, and preferably a glass container, but a plastic one will do as well for later use. Okay, now I'm gonna add the onions. I'm just gonna mix those in. And I'm gonna mix those in with the bacon. I'm gonna let those cook down a little bit. And like I said, this recipe is super easy because what you could do is just like cut all the onions beforehand. And you could buy a bag of frozen veggies like I did. This is what was available at the store, but I was very happy with it. So it's super convenient and easy when they're frozen because they're already cut and washed and ready to be cooked. And then the chicken, you can even, if you're making a big whole chicken, like in the Instant Pot, like I've done before, you can just set some of that chicken aside for this recipe when you cook it, or you could buy already cooked chicken breasts at the store, whatever is most convenient for you. But that's one of the reasons why I love this amazing recipe is because it's super easy to throw together and you could do a lot of it in advance. So, okay, so you want to cook the onions until they're just about translucent, because this is really where it brings out the flavor, like what it's called aromatics. So this is going to really bring out the flavor in the onions, which will provide more flavor in the actual chicken pot pie when we cook it, when we eat it. So if you could see a little bit, they're translucent. So, okay, I'm going to add that back. And now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of arrowroot. So arrowroot is like I said, it's a great replacement for wheat flour. This is gonna help thicken it. Now, normally you would add a little slurry, mix it in with a little slurry, but with this recipe, we're gonna do something a little different where we're gonna add it now. I'm gonna add it now and just kind of sprinkle it in. So, see, it looks like that on top of it, and then I'm just gonna mix it up. And then when we add the liquid in, the liquid is going to then sort of activate it. The arrowroot's gonna turn into a gel, and then it's gonna simmer for a few minutes on the stove top, and it's gonna thicken it. So that's how we get like a really nice thick creamy sauce. So now I'm gonna add the broth. So 1.5 cups of broth. And 1.5 cups of broth, the half and half to cream it up. Yeah, ooh, this looks so delicious already. So I'm gonna just make sure the heat's on medium, and I'm gonna let this simmer until it thickens up a little bit, kind of stir it all together, make sure it's all incorporated. So you can see the bubbles on the side, so that means that it is getting thicker, and the arrowroot it's being brought to a boil, so the arrowroot is going to combine with the liquid, kind of make a gel. So it'll thicken it up to a nice thick sauce. Okay, our sauce is thickening up, and it looks so good. So I'm just gonna let it continue to thicken for a few more minutes. I'm just gonna stir it occasionally, and it looks like the bacon will also cook more in this process since it's boiling. One thing you can do is use a whisk to kind of whisk it and give it a little bit of oomph. So I'm just gonna do that just to kind of maybe help speed up the process a little bit, because I'm hungry and I want to eat. So yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, it's thickening up really, really nice. Okay, now the sauce isn't quite as thick as I want it to be, but I have a feeling that in the oven it's going to thicken up a little bit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add the chicken in. Add the chicken. Oh yeah, it's even getting thicker as we usually, sometimes the first like 5 or 10 minutes it's a little slow to thicken, but it looks like right now it's actually starting to get quite a bit thicker. So I'm gonna add the chicken in, and I'm gonna add the peas and carrots in, because you can't have, in my opinion, a chicken pot pie without peas and carrots. And I'm just gonna stir these in and combine them. Oh yes, now it's thickening up even more. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So I'm just gonna stir this up, and I'm gonna pop it in the oven for about 35 minutes. And I preheated the oven, I think it's at 425. So, all right, yay, cool. So I will pop this in the oven, and I will see you guys when it's done. Okay, so I just took the chicken pot pie out of the oven. But before I show it to you and kind of let you know how long it cooks, just give you a friendly reminder and the temperature and all that good stuff and what to look for, I want to let you know I forgot to add the salt and pepper. I realized right before I put it in the oven, the ingredients were still sitting there. So don't forget the salt and pepper. If you do forget it, don't sweat it. It's not totally a huge deal. If you do decide to put bacon in it, the bacon will add the salt to it, but you could always add it afterwards. It always adds flavor as it cooks, the salt and pepper, but if you forget it, no big deal. So I just added it real quick, and I stirred it before I popped it in the oven, and it should be great. We'll probably add a little bit more on when we enjoy it. So I want to show you what it looks like. It looks so good. Oh my gosh. And it's so fun to cook in the cast iron. So this is what it looks like. You see it's brown on the outside, you know, on the edges, and it's kind of tilted a little bit, but it did thicken up just a little bit more. Some of the chicken is a little bit crispy on top, but that's okay, totally fine. I will just give it a good stir before we dive right into it tonight, and we're just gonna enjoy this in bowls. And like I said, you can add, if you wanna add some biscuits or something on top, what you do is let it bake for about, I don't know, 20 minutes. And then after that 20-minute mark, pull it out and kind of see if it's all bubbly. And then if it is, then you can go ahead and pop the raw dough on and then just pop it in for another 10 or 15 minutes or so, however long you're supposed to bake the biscuits. I am working on a biscuit video, or on a biscuit recipe, a paleo-friendly biscuit recipe, so I will let you know when that is done. And so, oh my gosh, I'm super excited. So happy fall, and enjoy your chicken pot pie, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe below so you don't miss out on all our amazing videos. Thanks, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.